Hello, and welcome to my day here in Central Texas. Now, I'm sure I have complete faith that somewhere on the other side of this cloud cover, the sun is shining. It's thin cloud cover, so it's a reasonably bright day. I'm kind of trying to decide what to eat. I got up, I emptied the dishwasher, I looked in the laundry machines, and someone started a load of wash today before they went off to go do something. But some people are a little squishy about having others handle their laundry. I'm okay with that. The arthritis is acting up in my elbows and my knees. My left knee usually does not give me any trouble, but today it is quite painful and feels like it might be a little bit swollen. Yay, Tai Chi! And coffee. Wide mouth mason jar, by the way. You can tell because it doesn't have that shoulder build that the narrow ones do. The narrow mouth jars have a smaller opening and they're just great for spooning jam or whatever out of, or salsa, if you like to process jars of vegetable matter over fruit matter. I think processing is one of those things that might fall by the wayside unless I'm preserving meat, because there's not a lot of fruit or vegetables I want to preserve right now. I don't eat them. And I probably still have some jars with little chunks of sweet potato in them, or other things. Starvation diet foods. And the little dog was all excited to come out, but I had to locate my phone so I'd have something to do while he sits around listening to the noises of the day. I have already stepped on all the puffballs I could see that were close to the front walk. I think the neighbor across the street has mopped herself out of the corner. Essentially, she's standing in her doorway with a wet mop, not wanting to step on her wet floor. Or his, I don't know. The older grandson, in his quest for money, has been doing an excellent job with the dishes, which I have tried to get through to them years ago, that if they wanted money all the time for everything, that doing the dishes was a good thing to learn. Because people who will do dishes can get a job. People who can do a good job of doing the dishes can support themselves. There are diners, restaurants, and various other eateries all over the world, some of them quite high quality, that cannot get anyone with a work ethic or a greed ethic. I don't know what you want to call it. Boy wants income. I'm willing to pay for that to be done. He waits till late in the day because he knows. He waits literally till midnight-ish, depending on what he has going on in his video games. And the fact that his brother often goes into the kitchen for late snacks. But he's earning his money. With the money and taking the trash out, I mean, and that's only a little bit per day, but it adds up. And at the end of the month, he's getting him $70. I think this is reasonable. I have arthritis. His mom has problems with, actual real medical problems with her back, shoulders, and right arm. So for us not to be stuck doing something that's tedious and standing there reaching into the sink and moving heavy things around, I cannot tell you how much that is worth it to me. Especially like today, my knee is killing me. My left knee doesn't usually hurt at all. It doesn't feel from the outside as if it's swollen. It just feels as if it's swollen when I'm walking around in the house. I've been down the steps and back up again. Like I said, the puffballs have been stepped on. Keeping the seeds in my yard. You step on them, you squash them down into the grass that covers the dirt. The Chihuahua, the mini Marine, is sitting quietly on the deck watching the dog that's across the street. Now this one has had some training. There's some things you just can't bother to teach a Chihuahua. But the one across the street is big enough and seems reasonably intelligent. He's trying to alert on a small, loose dog that's beyond his reach. He would like to either play with it or eat it, I'm not sure which. His body language is screaming, "Come play with me, I need a friend." But when he starts barking, the small dog will wander off. Dyson is watching. I don't know if he's going to learn anything. Yeah, the small dog scarpered off. Scarpering off is generally a defense mechanism. But the neighbor came out to see what his dog was up to. Don't worry, the little one that did all that crying was in good enough shape to do his scarpering off, so he might have gotten that snout punch that dogs will do. Dyson can hit pretty hard with his nose. I don't recommend it. We taught him bump on command by holding a treat where my thumb would hold it in the crease of the fingers, put the hand down and tell him bump, and he'd bump your hand to get the treat released. He hasn't been doing that lately. He's getting old. There's no reason to make him bump his face into things. Friendly fingers when you're young, that's reasonable. The biggest use of treats in his life right now is to get a Benadryl, a half of one into him every now and then. He's a very low to the ground dog, and so he gets dust and pollen and things into his face. And sometimes he just looks like his eyes need wiped off. Other times you look and you go, oh, poor baby, it's Benadryl time. So I'll put the half a tablet in one little treat. And then I'll put 3 more of these really little treats in my hand. And he'll be in such a hurry to eat them all that he'll miss which one has the half a tablet of Benadryl in it. Benadryl is teeny tiny tablets, so we had to find a lot of information before we'd start giving him any. Always find information. My daughter finds lots of information. I've got pollen or something blowing into my cup over here. Okay. With the cream in it, stuff that settles right on top does not sink down in. Doesn't look very appetizing, so I'll scoop that out on my fingers. Yay, coffee. I don't near get a cup of coffee every single day. I don't even want it every day. When we go off for our anniversary vacation, there's a Keurig machine on the counter in the picture. Hope that's working, because Loki likes his coffee every day. I got a small box of K-Cups. In his favorite flavor. That's important. Now, I don't know if good quality Kona, plain Kona, comes in a K-Cup. But since I'm not hyperactive or hyper about coffee, that's okay. I can drink the stuff I've already bought. The town we're going to is one of many settled by a wave of German settlers that came into Texas at about whatever time, I don't remember. But after Texas independence, I think. Maybe not. Because the Spaniards who ruled Mexico wanted to bring in more European stock, and they welcomed settlers from the United States, which was much smaller at the time, and from Europe. And I'm trying to avoid words that will get videos banned or cause a lot of complaints. But they basically did not have any desire to treat the indigenous people as equals. They wanted to tell them what to do and how to live and where to live. That don't sit well with a lot of people. No Christian should sign on with that kind of thinking. And some of this was coming from the missionaries who came in with the Spanish. Who would basically, they'd round up people in an area into forced work parties to teach them farming the way Spain wanted it done, and animal husbandry the way Spain wanted it done, and how to build buildings the way Spain wanted it done. And they have some beautiful historical buildings to prove it, but that don't make it right. It don't make it right. So anyway, a lot of European stock was invited to come settle in Tejas. And at one point, I don't know if it was crowding in Germany or just a desire to live someplace warmer, but a lot of Germans came in. And now we have places with names like Pflugerville, Pflugerville, and a town named West that's going north in the state, but it's not all the way at the north end of the state. And it's got a nice Czech bakery there with great baked goods, which I'm not eating lately. But Fredericksburg is also one of these places that has a large German contingent. They got schnitzel and other good German foods. I'm going off diet while we're there. I'm an adult, I will eat what I wish to eat. And just because someone somewhere will be shaking a finger and clutching their pearls and reaching for their smelling salts going, "You shouldn't be doing that, you should stick to your diet," doesn't mean I'm gonna care. You're an adult, make your own decisions. I'm gonna. I have sometimes said this to other people. It's like, are you an adult? Make your own decision. There were things my daughter was squishy about after her marriage fell apart, and I can understand, because when you have no income and you're grieving the loss of a relationship, and people don't understand what a strong grief that can be. She didn't want to waste money on things. I'm like, you need a lip balm or lipstick or something every now and then, because otherwise you will get dried out and crack your lips, get chapped, whatever. You need to feel pretty. You need to let your life come back. And at some point she reached a level of healing that she was able to go arrange counseling and get feeling a lot better. And now she's got a squeeze, and he is absolutely a sweet young man. I was about to say a sweet boy, but he dwarfs my gigantic grandchildren, and he really digs them because as an only child, he had no brothers to wrestle with and all that stuff that men need from brothers and friends. When your parent is active duty military, you don't always form that depth of a friendship with the people your age, because you know you're going to move on again in a couple years. So he's sweet and he digs the boys. And he doesn't seem to mind much about the Chihuahua threatening his shoelaces on a regular basis. Dumb Chihuahua. Guy could stomp and he'd be so much of a mess on the floor. But he cares enough not to do that. In fact, we keep some treats right next to the front door so that when he's coming over, if he wishes to, he can pull a treat and offer it to the dog. And he crouches down and he tries. He really does try. And the beast here, the dangerous attacker of shoelaces. I mean, my previous dog would attack the vacuum cleaner. He was that brave. This dog doesn't care about vacuum cleaners. That's just a mechanical, electrical thing making noise. But, oh, he does not want daughter Squeeze to come over, because that's just a wrong person. If, for any reason, the young man were to move in, he would slowly adopt him, I think. But he comes over and he smells like he still lives with his mom. I can feel my kerchief moving around. I had my hair covered because I was putting away the clean dishes from the dishwasher. Don't want hair falling and everything, you know. And I decided to just leave it on today because I could hear the breeze blowing. And yes, it is primarily purple. I like purple. You don't see purple camouflage anything much. But if you look for purple kerchief, you can find one. Sometimes you can find purple bandanas with the usual Western look, just the base color will be purple instead of red or blue. What's up, puppy dog? Yes, there's cardinals and things. Oh, do you want up here? Yes, he wants up here. Not having any coffee still. We don't share coffee with Wawas. Hey. Say hello to the internet. Mwah. Yeah, you. He's just being a sweet boy. What you doing, buddy? Yeah, you got up here all on your own. On the slick top of the gigantic ice chest that gets used whenever a deer or some wild hogs, feral hogs, are shot. The feral hog population of the United States takes understanding. I know I've said it before. People don't understand why we have these monster pigs. Some of them are quite huge. I mean, they dwarf a little Dexter cow or something. But if you bring in, if you get a special permit to bring in some wild animals for a particular hunt, so that you and your buddies can have fun going after Russian boars or whatever it is you want to eat. And then you can't account for them all. You better keep hunting. These things have mixed or with escaped domestic hogs and bred with them so often that they are no longer doing 1 litter a year in the spring. They can do 3 litters a year. And in the South, it's warm enough that if they just even moderately take care of their babies, you will have 3 litters of piglets growing up. And they have enough of the dominant genes from the boars to get bigger and bigger and bigger, much bigger than our domestic breeds would usually get. And they're meaner. They still don't put on fat worth a darn because they live in wild. And so you don't get good bacon off of them. They have depending where they are and what they're eating, I mean, you can ask farmers about peanut crops being ripped to shreds and other things. And you can ask farmers about, you know, they might have some sow set aside for a breeding project, and she's getting almost there, almost ready to be bred. And one of these ferals will come along and rip at fencing and building to get to her. And then you've missed your opportunity to breed her as would be most beneficial for your farm, your ranch. And nobody really has the time to give up their sleep forever to protect their crops and their livestock, because sometimes, depending how many are in a given area, your livestock won't survive the attention of the feral hogs. Which is why some states consider poison bait. I'm not for poison baiting anything. One thing, you poison an animal and it dies horrifically. You're causing pain. I don't even hold for doing that to coyotes. I don't like coyotes much. A cat over here south of me crossing the drive going east. I don't know if he's got a goal in mind. He's probably not going to volunteer to play with a dog that ran off a smaller dog that was legitimately not in the smaller dog's yard. The one that ran off, Tyson has been learning that we don't even chase the stray cats. He's doing good. He is such a good boy. He's tiny, and a lot of these cats could whoop his butt. But like I've said before, he might be a bit of a Marine. He don't care. He would get in that fight anyway. That's Chihuahuas for you. I love Marines. And I'm sure when we go to the Nimitz Museum, there will be a lot of Navy people and some Marine people in the information presented at that museum. There might be some visiting on the day we go. That'd be cool. And with these older veterans, I will typically say sir, even if they're wearing something that indicates what their rank was when they got out. They deserve it. And I don't need to have nightmares of my grandpa or my late father-in-law looking stern and wagging a finger at me. Nope. Be polite to the old guys. Be very polite to the old veterans. They are treasures. My coffee's trying to separate. So I'm trying to swirl it in the bottom of this mason jar. Yeah, it was still warm enough to drink or I wouldn't have poured it. But these are tempered glass. That's what makes it possible to do so much preserving in them and to wash them out and use them again and again. And typically you'll use a pint jar or a quart jar to drink some tea or milk, or have milk and cookies, or big glass ice water, whatever you want. But in my case, it's more like a hold up to my ability to drop things, which has been an outstanding part of my life. If dropping things were a contest, I think I would win. For somebody with no peripheral neuropathy, and that is a thing. If you don't believe me, talk to diabetics, talk to people who've had strokes. Peripheral neuropathy is a bitch. And that is, sorry children, that's just, is not something anybody wants. I just have arthritis. And right now, my hand has not been happy with me. My wrist has not been happy with me. My elbows have not been happy with me. And yeah, we have some cool temperatures, so it must have been cool half the night when the heat of the day finally wore off. But that will help the bluebonnets, and I'm hoping to see tons and tons of them on the way over to Fredericksburg. That will make a pleasant drive. And I hope they hold on long past that trip to Fredericksburg, because if it's cool and a little bit moist, they will do that. Sometimes they just last insanely longer than anyone has any right to expect. They're bluebonnets and we get excited. Now, over at A&M, somebody got involved in breeding them until they come up with a nice A&M red. An A&M kind of red and not a Red Raiders kind of red. So sometimes you'll see the red ones if seed has been carried somewhere. And that's fine. It's flowers. Yes, they've messed with them. They're genetically modified. Who cares? They're flowers. We're just going to look at them. And like I said, there are lots of critters that eat flowers who really don't care what the color is. The coffee is still trying to separate. Excuse me. There, done. No concern about it separating now. No, puppy, I'm not going anywhere. If you want to go down on the ground some more, that's fine. You can go. Don't worry, that dog across the road cannot get to you. Yeah. You is a safe puppy. I might be achy, but I think if I had an adrenaline shot due to that thing coming over here, he would probably stop coming over here. Yeah. I'll take care of mine, and he can take care of his. He understands his job. He's a dog. And he's doing his job when he runs other dogs out of his area. I'm not gonna complain about anyone's dog being a good dog. I have met police dogs and assistance dogs, and just everyday next door neighbor good dogs that understand exactly what their place in the world is, and they live up to it to the best of their ability. And that's a good dog. Some dogs put up with being taken in a camper van or an RV and living all over the country. And wherever they are at, that is where they are, and that's where they will be a good dog. I understand there are cats doing the same thing because mice love RVs. Don't want to say how I know, but the results that I discovered were quite desiccated. And had to be cleaned out of where they were at. And every now and then we have to do cleanup at the RV. Now, I would love to go do more in the RV. I have never driven it. I might have to learn how. because it just about takes a crowbar or a 40th anniversary to get Loki away from his computer desk. But I love him, so I'm willing to go tent camp by myself when the book club or other events get my attention. Sometimes I'm willing to go hotel camp by myself. And if the event is up her alley, I have figured out I can get my friend from North Taylor to go with, because she likes some of the same fun that I do. And this year we were deprived of our late winter pre-spring event, which was to go to the Mother Earth News Fair in Belton. Between her and her husband, there is plenty of points that they can spend on hotel rooms and such. And she did that one year, but it's Belton, y'all. It's so close. So one year we hoteled it and then ate at the popular breakfast place, and that was good. I pointed it out to Loki one time when we were there recently, and I said, the food there's good. Dawn and I had been and eaten, and it was good. Of course, the Belton-Colleen area also has a food truck with an old style pizza oven in it. And I do mean old style. Now they get the wood started with gas because it's easier and consumes less resources to get the oven up to heat. And then you just add the wood you need during the day so that you have the coals for the dome of the oven to stay hot, and the floor of the oven to cook your pizza dough. And that was an interesting experience watching them cook. I loved that. And I don't remember the name of it very often. I stuck their business card in my bag, and they had some clever, I don't know if I would call it pun or punning name, but they had some clever wording, and it was cool. Of course, another great food truck I saw recently, or more recently I should say, I have not seen it since. There was a Eat More Lobster type of a food truck at the farmer's market, and I think that was in Georgetown. It might have been over at Wolf Ranch, but they were making lobster rolls, Maine or Connecticut style. And there's different ingredients and different fun involved with each, but people don't appreciate how much satisfaction there is in a serving of lobster or a double serving or whatever. Now, I was eating keto at that point, and I just had a well-buttered serving of lobster on a side salad, but without the high-carb stuff that was available on their salad. And the cook was impressed enough with my food choice that he talked to me about it for a bit. I love some lobster, especially with some butter. And if you're doing keto, you can do this with shrimp also. You can get you some buttered up shrimp, toss that with your salad greens, and get that butter all over the greens. And that's cool. I used to do that occasionally. I think I've mentioned that I did Atkins for a little while when I was in tech support and got my weight down to 210, which was the lowest it had been since 2000 probably. That was also when I discovered the use of heavy whipping cream directly into my diet, because That was breakfast. I would put a measured amount of heavy whipping cream and a measured amount of either fresh or frozen blueberries or mixed berries or whatever I had that week into a little tightly lidded HEB brand Tupperware type container. And I would be shaking that on the way to work. Loki was driving, so I was free to use my hands as I wished. And it wouldn't quite get to the point of whipped cream, but it thickened considerably, and a certain amount of loft occurred. And I was having that with a packet of sweetener. And when I got to my desk, often with a cup of coffee, because we had a coffee shop on the way into the building. That's spoiling people. But the better coffee shop was at the opposite end of the next building. And there was a link on the ground floor, but not above that. And that's where the main cafeteria was. But you go through the link, go up the second floor, you go all the way down to the end, and there's another coffee shop. You might think tech support nerds like coffee. Well, not all of them. But most coffee shops in the U.S. will also have some kind of options for tea. So if you want a hot cup of tea instead of a hot cup of coffee, it's available. What, puppy dog? You staring like something matters. He's a good boy. I found out about the whatever it was red he got on his paw. Apparently the grandson dropped a small bottle, thankfully, of red acrylic paint in his room. And at some point, he accidentally stepped on it. It did burst. And the dog went to find out what that strange smell was and dipped a paw. And that's how that got on his toenails that I was so worried about yesterday. I'm glad I got most of that off of him. Because if it's on their toenails and in their fur, dogs will ingest a bit of it accidentally. And speaking of ingesting, I have ingested all of my coffee. You take my cup inside and rinse it out. Oh, my jar. I have a pretty red cup. I picked it up at a Cracker Barrel restaurant. It says Nana on it, which is what I have taught many children to call me, because when the boys went to Mitchell Elementary, I started meeting many children. So now when there's kids I'm meeting at the Kung Fu school, they are allowed and encouraged, as far as I'm concerned, to call me Nana. And since there's enough German people in the area, I guess I should welcome Oma as well. But I don't think Loki wants to be everybody's Opa. But, it's just life as we know it. Now, anybody who's getting towards my age, and I'm 58 now, since I had my birthday. So I've got the next one coming, and I still won't be 60, but the one after that I will be. You've got to decide what you're going to encourage kids to call you. If you've got a stick where the sun don't shine, and you just want to be Mr. Jones or Widow Jones or Miss whatever, that's fine. That's your life. And one of the neighbor's hens is out again. I cannot tell from looking what kind it is, but it just ducked into an opening in the frame of their generator. Or ducked through, and it's coming out behind now, yeah. It may not even be one of their hens. It may be one of their neighbor's hens. And it may be looking for water, but if it rains, that won't be a concern. Now, something I recommend, if you're in Texas, put out a charity water bowl. Yeah, a charity water bowl. We've got a small bowl. Stays out on the back steps by the garbage cans, because the aromas of garbage cans often attract small animals or medium-sized animals. But during the worst weather, I will step back there and, if there's been no rain for a while, you can take water and fill it up and whatever. I might retire a pot from the kitchen and put it underneath the drippy tap out here and just make it possible for things to live. And the more rural and dry conditions you deal with, the more important it is. It goes along with that biodiversity bit. If you're keeping things alive, a shallow pan or bowl might get frog in it, or a toad, or it might get something in it that cannot get out on its own and can't just stay there. I spotted another chicken, a different one. And the orange cat I spotted earlier is over there following neighbor's chickens around. Somebody's toddler is screaming. Not very close, but it didn't sound like a pained scream. It sounded like a I want something kind of scream. An attitudinal scream, not a please come help me scream. And I've been out here for most of an hour, and the clouds really don't look any thicker, and they don't look any thinner. So I have no idea what the weather is going to do, just that it is pleasantly cool to sit out here. And remember, even on an overcast day, there is some sun coming through, or the earth would freeze. And it's a good time to be out in a t-shirt and enjoy the weather. You don't always get as many enjoyable days as you might deserve or think you deserve. But there's no reason not to enjoy the ones that do come along. And even if you don't smoke, take whatever breaks you have coming to you at work. Step outside and enjoy a breeze. Sit on your deck and pet your puppy dog. Huh, Dyson? Yeah, doggies need petted. Petting your dog is good for your health. My bee wife, Bart K, has a couple. I've seen them in his videos. He has a handful of YouTube accounts so that he can separate things out. Nature walks with Pim and the dogs. Fine, Miss Pim. How you doing, puppy? Yeah, I know, you're not a puppy. You're a dignified old man. You're a good boy. That's what you are. You're a good boy. I did not have to call you back to me today. You did not go off wandering where you're not supposed to go. I'm still watching the grass as it comes up and makes seed heads, because if there's any goat heads, I need to pull them and not pull the weed, but pull the seed heads off and bring them in to put them in the trash. I swear those things are indestructible. If you put them on the pavement to cook in the sun, they just stick in the tires of anyone going by and grow somewhere else. That ain't good. Those things are nasty. But I think it's getting about time for me to think about what to eat. And I am thinking about an omelet. I don't know if I will want provolone in it or something else. I find I am eating less and less of the shredded cheese. The cellulose included does not encourage me to eat it. I'm really trying to eat as clean as I can, but they add so much stuff that's not needed. Seriously, not needed. I mean, if cheese sticks a little bit on the way home from the store, it'll warm up because it's been out of the fridge case. And I live rurally. I'm like, it's 20 or 30 minutes getting home depending on traffic. But if it starts to stick together, just throw it in the fridge, let it re-chill, and then just sort of bust it up a little bit. Not a big deal. Or buy a block of cheese and shred it yourself and not add any potato starch or cellulose or anything else, because you don't need those other things. There's nothing in those other ingredients that is required. Eat what you actually need. My daughter thinks that means eat a bunch of vegetables. My husband is beginning to understand that it does not. There's really no need to go off diet. You can go out to a Chili's and there will be a little bit of oil on just about anything you get. But you can just get a single ribeye steak with a mound of shrimp, and they'll put a piece of butter, or more likely margarine, on the steak. But that'd be a good meal that you can have. A reasonably good meal anyway. I mean, Dr. Barry has made video of driving up to a McDonald's drive-thru and getting just patties to go. Now you're gonna overpay for those because they're gonna charge you for everything that would have gone on them anyway. Which is too bad, or I would order that way more often. I don't have that kind of money. And I don't really care for ground beef anyway. Although McDonald's patties are something I can live with. There's some overcooked, rubbery hamburgers in the world. And yes, I said hamburger, I did not say cheeseburger. Because I don't need the mostly oil, fake cheese that most places are putting on burgers and charging you whatever amount for. If I thought I was getting real cheese, I might agree with the cost of it, but I don't. And this is something I have been bullied into accepting for a very long time. Why don't you just get it with cheese on it? That's what they're used to doing. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. I have to make decisions for myself. I think one of the things I like about German food is if you want some really good bread and some cheese, or a mustard sauce or something for dipping, you can do that. They don't pile everything with cheese. So, I'm kind of looking forward to going and having some schnitzel. And since Fredericksburg is German influenced, there might be some really good kolaches. And whatever the other word is, the ones with meat in them are not technically kolaches. They're something else. But, I have some good bread. But right now, I'm going to go inside and make an omelet. So y'all eat something that's good for you. Please, I'd like you to be healthy. Make decisions for yourself. If you don't like the cheap American cheese that's made out of, well, no, the cheap American cheese-like product. I mean, it's flavored to taste like American cheese. But real American cheese is a different thing. It is actually cheese. It was designed, as much as you can design anything, to be a good melting cheese, so that when you put it on a sandwich that's being grilled, like a grilled cheese sandwich or burger or something, if there's some heat, that it would melt and stick to the food. That's pretty much the only way to make sure you can bite your sandwich and not pull the entire slice of cheese out with it, with the first bite. Now, there are some good ways to use other cheeses if you don't like American cheese, or if you can't find actual American cheese. And believe me, just because one of those oil products that resembles cheese is made with some real milk in it does not make it cheese. It just makes it dairy. So read labels, understand cheese processes. This morning I looked up how to make cottage cheese. I might do that. I might not, because cottage cheese, like cream cheese, is not an aged cheese. And so the process does not cause the lactose to be consumed. And I do not need the lactose. And sadly, neither do the grandchildren who share my home. Lactose intolerance is not funny, y'all. Okay, sometimes it is, because one of them shares my bathroom and the other one shares his mother's bathroom. This is not a good situation. I would send both of them to the other bathroom and let her live with the monsters she created. Oh my God. No, they do like cheese, and so when I make a cheese board and put some prosciutto and other quite edible meats out with the cheeses, I get hard aged cheeses. They're less dangerous with that. And they and Loki do all love cheese. So that's just something to do every now and then. Although I did find out at least one of them is still eating smoked salmon at a rate that probably needs to be supervised. They don't typically get into my prosciutto, but I had a packet of several flavors of smoked salmon. I mean, there was There's this section with pepper on one surface. That they must have rolled the filet in pepper before smoking it. And here's this flavor this section that's just plain smoked salmon. And here's this other side that I don't know if it had some dill or something on it. I don't care. I was thinking cheese board. That particular packet disappeared. I mean, it was sitting there unmolested for a while in the refrigerator because you keep things like that cold. And I was shopping for other things to go with it. Some prosciutto. I could probably get something else. But it disappeared. The prosciutto remained untouched. I seem to be the only one around who cares really to have prosciutto. Unless I make a cheese board. Then a few nibbles will be eaten by others. But I try to think about everyone in the house. Except right now, when it's just me and the dog and a cat at home. Okay, so time for an omelet. So make your decisions, do what's right for you, and keep researching the candidates even after the primaries. Hold them accountable. They hate that. Keep track of what they're doing. They hate that. What, puppy? I'm just talking about politicians. And I did it without using those really, really short words that get me in trouble. I didn't call anybody names, unless you intend to think of the word candidate as calling them names. I don't really like politicians because too many of them are just no good swamp rats. Inside I go to cook, and y'all should get on with your day. And when I say do things that are good for you, that includes voting for people who have no intention of causing damage or who support laws that support farms and ranchers selling their own products. We need that on a nationwide scale. But as long as the swamp rats are running things, we're not going to get it. We need a law that would allow us to unseat harmful politicians, whether they come from our district or not. And it's like every year, people should be able to nominate this name, here's a list of everyone in the federal government or something. Click on 5 names you'd like us to put on the ballot as unseat this yahoo, they don't deserve to be there. And let the entire country look at their record, their voting record, their performances. And yeah, when I say performance, I mean performance. This is what this person is known for. This is what they have argued for and against. This is what they have done. And let's just put 5 names. Every single time there's any kind of voting going on that's going to affect everybody, we should be able to unseat harmful yahoos that have no business running a country. Because they make it a business. They don't make it they don't make it anything honorable or appropriate. But make decisions that support selecting or deselecting politicians. If you need a recall option in your state, get out there and help the effort. There are still places that don't have a recall option. There are places that have too many laws affecting people who wish to make food happen. Whether it's food I eat or food I don't eat. Stuff I don't consider food. saber-toothed cave carrots growing in my yard. That's a forageable, and a lot of people would consider it food. A lot of people would still consider my grandson a dumbass for eating it. But let's face it, some stuff just needs to be allowed to exist. Including my food. So I'm going to go inside and make my food. Love ya. Bye-bye.